Did you vote in your own Twitter poll?
No, I did not.
Why not?
Because I just wanted to let the poll be out there, and if I would have, it would have been buy and sell.
Okay, let's talk about that. Explain exactly what you mean.
Well, what I mean is you're going to buy something middling, and you're going to sell something also probably middling. And for me, you mentioned Mania, and for me, it's DeSclafani. And I think Stripling actually has some usefulness going down the stretch, but
yeah, he's been okay.
Okay, you've got like 7 starters and 4 or 5 of whom you don't want to start. So, and a couple of those guys, 2 or 3 of them, you're paying more money to than what they're earning. So those are, to me, definite sell pieces. You sell a Stripling or a Mania or a DeSclafani to a team that might want to have an arm, somebody they can actually throw out there 28 times or 30 times and not really care if they are that good or that bad. And you would get back a couple of prospects, low level or one low level prospect, or maybe a guy who's a 5th outfielder or a 3rd infielder.
Okay.
And I also think that you would buy, you're going to trade one of your prospects to bring in an actual starting pitcher that you want to use. So for me, it's a buy and sell.
This is interesting because what you're proposing in any other market would I actually think would probably be not doable. In other words, what you're saying is, why don't we sell the players who stink? And my question would be, well, why does anybody else want that? Especially because they are also, you could call them controllable, although the control sits with the player. Like, you're not buying Anthony DeSclafani for the rest of this season. You get him next year, too. You get another $12 million on the books. Stripling and Mania have player options at decently high prices next year. $12, $13 million in that range for next year. So why would another team be like, well, we want to spend a lot of money on pitchers who don't get outs? Like, so let's give you a prospect for that player. The interesting thing this year is
DeSclafani's at 12,
right?
Mania 15, Stripling 15.
Okay.
Which is not a ton for a guy who, and again, if you're a team like the White Sox, knowing that you're going to lose Giolito and you're going to need a starter, somebody to just eat innings, or maybe you're a lower level team. You just need a guy.
But you do that with a young guy. Like, you don't need a guy who's got a $15 million contract next year. Like, unless you think that they're going to turn it around.
It could be.
You know what I mean? Like, Mania has been good in the majors at times. Yeah. Stripling has a history in this league. DeSclafani, that one got wonky fast after a mostly good year his first year here. So I think the only way they're going to get rid of those guys is kind of the way I said it, which is that they could be involved in a larger deal where someone doesn't want, let's say, Verlander's money. The Mets are like, we're not going to pay all of that. And you're like, well, we'll pay all of it, but then you need to offset some of our money somehow. And if you want DeSclafani back and you think maybe you can get something out of him, great. The only reason what you're saying, though, I think actually, who knows, maybe there's a window. Teams are so desperate for starting pitching, so desperate, that maybe somebody would look at one of those guys, and maybe there's an agent on the phone going, look, Mania, he can throw, man, but it's because they keep using him, and he comes in the 3rd inning, and everything's all out of whack. New scene would do him well. Maybe somebody's like, hey, take a flyer. You're not going to get a whole lot in return. So I don't know. I mean, the Giants, all I want to know is 2 things. A week from today, A, did you get better for right now? And B, did you leave enough money on the books to walk into your Shohei meeting with $600 million?
And C, did you not upset the future? Correct. To where you traded.
Do not obliterate the system.
You traded Luciano, you traded Harrison, you traded all these pieces that might be able to help you down the road. You want to avoid that as well.
Yes.
That's the third part of it, I think.
Right. Which is an incredibly difficult assignment. Do all of that and call us next week.
Right.
Farhan.
Get better without trading anything that can help us next year. And don't take on any money that's going to keep us from maybe getting Ohtani.
I'm not going to say that they can't trade some prospects. Just don't trade all of the prospects. Don't go crazy. And I don't think they will. I'm not worried about them doing that. I don't think that's even on their brain as a possibility. Shohei Ohtani is not getting traded. I don't think he's getting traded. He's definitely not getting traded to the Dodgers, and he's almost definitely not getting traded here. So, for one, when I look at the deadline, I move past that story. I go right past it.
Sure.
Swipe left. It's just not a conversation. I know a lot of people want to talk about it, and we can use this audio and rub my face in it if he's a Giant next Tuesday. But I
doubt it.
I do not think that guy's coming here this year, and I would bet that he's not going anywhere. The price that it would cost to get him is too much for it to make sense for any acquiring team. It also doesn't make sense for the Angels to give up emotionally on the only thing that their fans are even showing up to watch. I wonder what the blowback would be like. It's not like that's a scary fan base,
right.
But what would that look like if Ohtani gets dealt? What does that look like the next night at the stadium?
It looks a lot more empty than it already is when he's not playing or he's not pitching. And you don't have Mike Trout already with the injury. And so you're looking at a situation where a disenfranchised fan base traditionally would be even more so. And I don't know if Artie Moreno looks at it in terms of like what you can make between now and the end of the year, but it's probably more than a couple $100 million if you have him versus what you're not going to make next year when he's gone.
Yeah, it does not make sense. It doesn't make sense for too many reasons, for too many teams. So I move right by that. And then we move into conversations that are a little bit harder to have because of the same thing we were just talking about on the crossover. Like, how many baseball players do you think you could actually name? If we just went team to team, I bet you, and I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I love this game. Most teams I can name like 3 or 4 people.
Exactly.
So there's not a lot of trades out there that have name value, like a headline where you're like even if I said Giolito to you, the hell does that and he's a good pitcher.
Yeah.
And he got lit up his last time out. You know what I mean? But like that's not the way I think it's going to feel. Unless Goldschmidt or Arenado end up here, I think that would land with people in terms of name value.
Verlander's another one you mentioned.
Yeah. How old is he, by the way?
I think JD said he was 40. Born in 82 or 83.
Justin Verlander, he's 40.
He's 40.
He's 40.
But
I'm 40.
Even if you look at like the Giants roster and you think about these players before they were here, Mitch Haniger, Alex Wood, Manaea's different because he was an A. Stripling's different. He was a Dodger, and we know that. But Wilmer Flores and all the rest of the names.
Wilmer Flores is the best player who's ever played baseball before. I don't know if you've watched him last week.
I've been watching him. But before he was here, it's not like when the Giants got Wilmer Flores, you were thinking, yeah, Wilmer Flores, that's name value. I can't wait to watch him hit 25 home runs.
They don't have any name value.
No, but no team does, is your point.
Well, not no team.
Most teams don't.
Right.
The Padres and Mets do, and how's that working out?
The Mets do. They both stink. The Dodgers do. The Yankees have a little. It's quite frankly, it's less than you think it is. Because you're like, it's the Yankees. All right, go
sure.
Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole. Now what?
They still have Stanton.
Yep. But how far...
I was hoping. I almost asked it as a question.
No, seriously, if you don't play fantasy baseball, I promise you will be challenged to get to 5 names on almost any team in baseball. So this isn't going to sound big. However, I do still think the Giants are going to be aggressive. I think they should. But you're right. Without decimating the farm system, without overloading money, go do it. Talk to us next week.